We're here to talk. We're going to discuss Biden's speech last night. A lot of black people voted for Joe Biden, but a lot of us are feeling like we're not getting a lot in return. Did you want to add on to that?
I could talk about that a little taste, my brother.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I checked out his State of the Union speech, and when we talk about these progressive and these right of centers, right of left, whatever you want to call it, these politicians, we're looking at, as foundational Black Americans, we're looking at our agenda specifically. And, me personally, I haven't been to jail. Jail is not something that I aspire to, I don't aspire to, commit any crimes or anything like that as a regular citizen. So as a foundational Black American, I kind of get offended a little bit. We always have to start talking about crime when it comes down to Black people. I also get offended a little bit when we have to start talking about, for example, education, specifically HBCUs.
Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I can expand on that a little bit. Part of the educational piece in the Black community, my brother, as you can see with this great flag behind me, part of the educational piece in our Black community started out with our ancestors who are no longer here today, teaching us about history, investing with us with their knowledge, and talking to us about who our pioneers, inventors, and explorers were. And once we started to get into the public school system, we started to see this generalization of that. And just to break it down for you, a lot of these HBCUs, they were started, if you look at the names, by white supremacists. And they were named after white supremacists. And when you look at their agenda nowadays, I'm not necessarily talking about, for example, in the 50s and the 60s, or even a little bit in the 70s. But when you look at the agenda of HBCUs nowadays, there is a majority of minority people going to those schools and getting that education. And we're not getting a total piece of the pie when it comes down to those HBCUs. So with that being said, reparations, you see, Joe Biden, if he's a real, what I would call a center progressive, he would have mentioned the fact that we do need some charter schools out here that are grantly funded for foundational Black Americans who can ground themselves in their foundation. And we don't need to be caught up in this educational public system anymore that isn't helping us. So that includes the HBCUs. And again, when it comes down to reparations, we can start our own colleges. We can create our own public school system. We can create our own charter school system. It's about giving us the cash and letting our expertise take over from there.
Indeed. And even just going back to education, so somebody was just talking about how Trump got rid of certain requirements to get to be able to get like a federal job. Like you don't have to have a degree. Elon Musk spoke on it too. So that I think that was pretty key. And it's good that people are going to get education, but also the black woman has the most student loan debt in America. And then it's impacting the median income. So people are going to school, they're getting degrees, then they can't find jobs, and some people are retiring with student loan debt, and they were told to go get an education. They did everything right, and they're still having some financial, people are still having these financial difficulties. So when we talk about reparations and we talk about education, it has to be an education that can help us solve our problems, an education that can help us close the racial wealth gap, an education that can help us close the housing gap, the health gap, that can help us address the criminal injustice system, that can help us build up our black business infrastructure, not just in Minnesota, but throughout the United States, something that's going to help us. Like if we're educated, we should be able to, if black people are dying from heart attacks and strokes or heart disease, then we need to be able to come up with things to cure what we're suffering from. So just real quick, I want to just play this clip from Biden real quick last night, or just some of the responses. And this article, it says Biden's fund the police line as State of the Union strikes nerve in St. Louis. The president's $5 billion safety plan increases training for police while also targeting illegal guns and strengthening programs for kids. And I just like I said last night, we had a press conference. I want to make sure that I had a chance to address what Biden was saying, because he was in St. Louis. I mean, he was in Minnesota yesterday, in St. Louis County, where they're decided to continue to fund men correctional care. Now, men correctional care is owned and operated by Dr. Leonard. Dr. Leonard is responsible for killing my sister's son, Hardell Sherrill. And there's 55 new investigations into these jails throughout Minnesota, and a lot of them have happened on Men's Watch. So Joe Biden was up there visiting yesterday. But here's a clip from a news article, KSDK, real quick. Check it out. Can you hear it?
No, I can't hear it.
Okay. Let me see here. So basically, they were talking a line about police funding during Joe Biden's first State of the Union address struck a nerve in St. Louis, where local leaders have battled police union representatives over resources. We should all agree the answer not to defund the police, it's to fund the police, Biden said. Fund them with resources and training. Resources and training they need to protect their communities, right? So Cori Bush said, with all due respect, Mr. President, you didn't mention saving black lives once in this speech. All our country has done is given more funding to police. The results, 2021 set a record for fatal police shootings. Defund the police, invest in our communities. So I just wanted to, I personally agree with Cori Bush. And for instance, the police budget in Chicago is $1.7 billion. And just to put that in perspective, they gave Biden throughout the year so far gave Ukraine $1 billion to fight the Russian army. one of the biggest armies in the world, yet the Chicago Police Department has a bigger budget than Ukraine. It's military, right? To fight Russia. So how much money, $1.7 billion, how much does it take to stop gun violence? $5 billion. So now he's coming with $5 billion, a $5 billion safety plan, increasing training for police while also targeting illegal guns. You want to expand on that, Mr. English?
Yeah, I can. So let's break this down real quick, real easy, my brother, because you know, we always want to talk about where politics is and where politics goes. And we need to start out where the politics of what Joe Biden said is right now. And the way I look at it is I look at it as a chicken coming home to roost, to a certain extent. Joe Biden authored, and he not only authored, but he narrated, and his prime baby was the 95 crime bill.
Right.
And the 95 crime bill, the job of that was to incarcerate, I'm going to say just people, but we know who it was targeting, foundational Black Americans. But right. Its job was to incarcerate people. You had some, of those Black Caucus members riding along with this. I've got it documented. And it was supposed to shut down crime in all these communities and neighborhoods across the country, because as long as the state adopted the bill, the state got billions of dollars. And this is in 1995.
Right.
And now you fast forward that to right now. What is Joe Biden doing again? He's standing up, telling everybody at his State of the Union speech that we're going to put more money into police. So, and I want you to look at what I just said. I said in 1995, he authored and passed the crime bill. In 2022, he's the president of the United States that is passing a crime bill. Right. Nothing new with Joe Biden himself. There has to be something new with the party that he is riding with, because those constituents, not only in that party, but in the Green Party, in the Republican Party, I hope they are understanding loud and clear. Black people know the track record of that man, because we've seen it go on for the past 27 years of incarceration, unarmed Black people being murdered, anti-Black racism. If you want our vote, the Black agenda's up for bidding. The midterm elections are coming along. You want to talk about crime? We want to talk about reparations. You want to talk about investing in the police? We want to talk about punishing the police.
Right.
So you understand our agenda, because at this point, as a regular grassroots Black person, because that's exactly what I am, speaking for the grassroots, as a regular grassroots Black American, right now, we have to categorize what is the most important thing to us and our community. And I don't know if that State of the Union speech got it done for that particular president. And we all know the midterms is coming up. We all know that people have an agenda they need to run on, but we're letting everybody know. We're putting it on notice for every single party out there that we're not playing games with our agenda, because if we can't get talked about on the highest stage, at the highest level of power, then something is really wrong. Because last time I checked, George Floyd had a foot on his neck.
A knee on his neck.
At the federal level, those cops were being prosecuted. That's what when you want to say crime and you want to say investing in reform of that crime, and we're not going to defund the police. Well, you know what? Hold them accountable. Punish them. Tell us that you're going to be punishing these guys if you're going to be paying them. Tell them that you're going to be holding them accountable if you're going to be paying them. Just don't tell us that it's about not defunding them.
Right.
See,
well, let's hold on. Let's just listen to it real quick.
Let's go on with it.
Hold on real quick. And hold on a sec. But yeah, no, not. And just again, like I was saying, Chicago's budget is $1.7 billion for police. Minneapolis has a huge police department budget. St. Paul has a big police department budget. But what's not funded is our rec centers, after school programs for youth, things like that.
Part of that is
oh, okay. Hold on real quick, man.
Police funding. Your side Staramaki is here to explain.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, Mike, you know the phrase defund the police. Well, the mayor and other leaders have been trying to reallocate funds, moving them from the police department to other social programs. This as the police union pushes for more officers on the street. Now, both sides agree on something. They were both surprised when they heard what the president said.
We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police.
That line from President Biden
Fund them.
struck a nerve in St. Louis.
Fund them.
St. Louis Democrat Cori Bush tweeted afterwards, spotlighting statistics that show last year had the most fatal police shootings of any year on record, sticking with the slogan, defund the police, invest in our communities.
I don't care if you call it defund, reallocate, move, switch, push, transfer money. What we're saying is we have to do something differently to be able to save lives.
We have to look at some of these alternatives that are actually working, that are actually reducing crime.
Also reacting online, Marquise Govan.
I was very frustrated.
He's worked on political issues in the past. Megaphone by his side Wednesday as he now campaigns for his SLU student body elections.
We need to reprogram ourselves to understand that there are sometimes better ways to seek justice.
He says he's watching crime numbers drop after leaders looked at other strategies.
Frankly, here in St. Louis last year, we saw a reduction in crime by some 26%. That was not due to police for the most part. That was due to programs like Cure Violence, civilians interrupting things before they even took place.
But police say they were pleasantly surprised by the president's statement.
I was actually really surprised when I heard that part. My phone started blowing up with people saying that the president said, fund the police, fund the police.
Union President Jay Schroeder says he believes the president's reacting to the unpopularity of the defund slogan, adding what they need now are more officers.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely is optimism. We've been talking about we need money for training, we need money for recruiting. I mean, we lost 178 policemen in the city last year.
Okay,
Now, yesterday, the White House gave some bullet points on the president's $5 billion community safety plan. They say that they are increasing training for local police, but also targeting illegal guns and strengthening the focus for kids through summer programs and things like job programs.
So, again, just real quick, you heard him say crime is down 26%. Then you heard him also say, you heard the cops say they've lost over 100 officers, but crime is down. So, and that's an example of a city that has actually defunded the police. Crime is down in St. Louis, 26%. They don't have as many officers as they used to have. So now that's what they're saying. So if you, I don't have a chart in front of me. If I find one, I'll pull it up. But there'll be a chart and then of city budgets, and on a lot of these city budgets, a huge piece is going to the police, which doesn't leave any money for after school programs, job programs for our youth. You know what I'm saying? Housing the homeless, things like that. So prevention, food for the people. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about defunding the police. We're talking about reallocating resources. And I think that for anybody, especially if you want the black vote, we can't continue to take the black vote for granted, how it's been being taken for granted. We can't even afford to vote for somebody who's not going to do reparations. We can't afford, black people, the descendants of chattel slavery, we can't afford to vote for anybody who's not talking about defunding the police, you know? So you want to expand on that? Or we can move to the next topic too, which was, this is messed up right here.
We were stuck at border more than 20 hours. There was no management there. It was so much crowdy, more than 3,000 or 5,000 people were there.
We were waiting for so long, and there were Africans also, there were Indians also, and Ukrainians were let inside. So that sort of created an agitation among us because we were not entering, and we were waiting for one day. And so we were thinking why they are given preference more than us.
We went to the train station, and they will not let us in. And when they did let us in, they were like, "You have to give us money because this is not free for you because you're foreign. This is not free for you. You have to pay for it."
The Ukrainians were let in, and the foreigners, they were segregated to one side. Foreigner and Ukrainians, they were treated differently.
So how you feel about how the Africans were being treated in Ukraine when they weren't letting some of the Africans out?
Well, you got two ways you can look at that as a foundational Black American, because in 2022, we witnessed some of the most vile, violent, horrific murdering you could have on a human being when it came down to George Floyd. And you've seen what the uprising can look like when unarmed Black people in the United States, foundational Black Americans, get fed up with how the system is designed to treat us. Case in point, Ukraine. You've got some African students there who are doing their best to get an education in a society where it's dominated by white people. And they're being subjugated themselves because they don't understand what type of culture they want to be. So you got these students there who are black, and they're caught in a situation where in real time, global white supremacy works hand in hand with all countries based on power. And they're seeing what the system of power really looks like. Because on one hand, we're in a fight over here for our lives. On the other hand, as a foundational Black American, you do have solidarity with those brothers and sisters who are in Ukraine right now, who are being subjugated based off of race. You know, I would love one of those brothers and sisters from that African descent. You know, they got them on camera. You're talking about what's happening to you, but you're not telling us why it's happening to you.
No doubt.
You're not telling us the system that was built in place for stuff like that to happen to you.
Exactly, man. And talking about systems, just real briefly before we go, I just want to let everybody know we do have a bill called the Minnesota Migration Act that needs to pass in the Minnesota legislature this session. So please get behind that bill. Call your Minnesota legislature and tell them that you support the Minnesota Migration Act. Thanks for tuning in to the Frank Knight Show, hosted by Jeremy English. It's going to be doing this more often, so be looking for that. There's going to be a rebroadcast of this program on www.blacktvs.com or Black Watch Television on your YouTube channel. All right? Peace.
Peace.